Tonight, Russia launches a wave of missiles on Ukraine's biggest cities, killing dozens. Also tonight, pressure mounts on the US Supreme Court to rule if Donald Trump can run for president after a second state disqualifies him from the ballot. The push to better equip hospitality staff to spot drink spiking. And Tasmanian yacht Alive claims overall honours in this year's Sydney to Hobart. Yuma, good evening and welcome to ABC News. I'm Jade Toomey. Russia has pounded cities across Ukraine in one of the largest assaults in months, killing at least 31 people. For several hours, missiles, drones and debris slammed into factories, schools and hospitals. Ukraine had been warning Russia could be stockpiling missiles to launch major air attacks as the cold weather begins, reminiscent of Moscow's winter campaign last year.
In Ukraine's capital, a downed missile strikes the top of an apartment block. The city's skyline filled with smoke after several buildings were destroyed.
I was woken up at 7:30 by a horrible sound. It was so frightening. The missile was flying and everything was buzzing, so noisy.
A few days ago, our army shot down 3 Russian aircraft, then sank one of their ships. So I knew they would retaliate.
Kyiv is for the most part protected by air defence. But this time, the scale of the strikes proved overwhelming.
This is yet another sign for our partners to strengthen Ukraine with the required amount of air defence so that we could become the shield between the aggressor and Europe.
In Kharkiv, rescuers freed this man from under the rubble. Local authorities say more than 20 missiles struck the city. In Dnipro, a shopping centre was hit and a maternity hospital was ruined.
This morning at 7 o'clock, the war came to us too. Straight to our wards, straight to our delivery rooms. We were waiting for the new year, new lives to come to our maternity hospital.
Some of the deadliest attacks occurred in the southern city of Zaporizhia. Poland's president met with security officials after claims a Russian missile briefly crossed its border. In the embattled frontline city of Avdiivka, Ukraine's president celebrated the courage of his troops.
As everywhere on the front line, Donetsk, Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Kherson, the left bank, it's difficult. It means pain and losses. Those are people that keep Ukraine alive.
A presidential salute to the Ukrainian soldiers fighting to push Russian forces out. Steve Kinane, ABC News.
Hostilities in Gaza have intensified in the southern and central areas where nearly 200 people have been killed by Israeli attacks overnight. According to the UN, the casualties are in areas where Palestinians had been ordered to relocate by Israeli forces. The IDF is now attempting to encircle urban refugee camps in central Gaza, displacing tens of thousands more people. An estimated 100,000 Palestinians have streamed into the southernmost town of Rafah, which has already been overwhelmed by nearly 500,000 people driven from their homes by the war. Pressure is mounting on the US Supreme Court to weigh in on Donald Trump's eligibility to stand in the 2024 presidential election. The question has taken on new urgency, with a second US state disqualifying him, striking his name from ballot papers.
We love Trump! We love Trump! the runaway frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination. A campaign seemingly only boosted by a slew of court cases. But now Donald Trump's eligibility is in question, with Maine following Colorado's lead in citing the 14th Amendment to strike him from the primary ballot, finding he disqualified himself by engaging in the January 6 insurrection.
The weight of the evidence made clear that Mr. Trump was aware of the tender lead by his multi-month efforts to delegitimize the 2020 election results, and he then chose to light a match.
The Trump campaign says it will appeal the decision, describing the Maine Secretary of State as a hyper-partisan Biden-supporting Democrat. Once again, Mr. Trump's rivals are being forced to defend him.
It opens up Pandora's box. Can you have a Republican Secretary of State disqualify Biden from the ballot?
California and Arizona's Secretaries of State have decided not to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. Attempts to strike him have been blocked by the courts in Michigan and Minnesota, and a decision in a number of other states, including Oregon, is pending. The patchwork of decisions between states adds to the sense that only America's highest court can decide the issue. And both sides in the Colorado case have already asked the US Supreme Court to weigh in. If the justices do take up the matter, it's likely to be one of the most consequential and complex rulings they make.
They're obviously going to be cognizant of the seriousness of removing a major candidate, in fact, the leading candidate for one of the parties, from the ballot. And so I think that that will weigh in, at least subconsciously.
5A11 is a vote for Gore.
There is precedent for a quick decision. Remember the hanging chads of the year 2000? The Supreme Court decided in a matter of days in George W. Bush's favour.
It's slightly detached.
Ending Al Gore's hopes of becoming president. Time is pressing now too. The Iowa caucus, which kicks off the election race in earnest, will be held in just over 2 weeks' time. Barbara Miller, ABC News, Washington.
There's been another death on New South Wales beaches, this time on the south coast. Police say a man in his 40s was pulled unconscious from Lake Conjola Beach this afternoon. A member of the public attempted CPR but was unable to revive him. 5 other people have drowned at beaches across the state since Christmas Day. It includes a 19-year-old trying to help his younger brothers at Moruya and a 35-year-old paddleboarder at Penrith Beach. Surf Lifesaving is reminding people to be particularly careful around water this summer, saying it's the most dangerous time of the year. A young girl is still fighting for life after yesterday's 5-vehicle crash near Lithgow in New South Wales. 2 people were killed and 15 others injured. 2 cars collided head-on around lunchtime on the Great Western Highway before taking out 3 other vehicles. 2 fathers from Sydney, 49-year-old Jason McMahon and 42-year-old David Drozd, died at the scene. More than a dozen people were taken to hospital, including 5 children. A 9-year-old girl remains critical, while the others are now stable. It's led to renewed warnings for drivers to slow down and stay patient during the busy holiday period.
Making sure that you're driving to the conditions. We don't want people speeding on the network. People would rather have you arrive safely than not at all.
Unfortunately, yesterday's crash can't be considered a rare event. As we reach the end of 2023, Australia's recorded its highest road toll in 7 years. More than 1,200 people have died in crashes over the past 12 months. Safety campaigners are calling for more police on highway patrol and a change in the language used when reporting on crashes.
Joanne Duke was looking forward to the arrival of her first grandchild, but she never got that chance. While Joanne was driving in Sydney's north, a man sped onto the wrong side of the road, crashing into her. She died at the scene.
My world fell apart from that moment. I just didn't know what to do.
Mum, an extraordinary woman in so many ways, ball of fun, ball of energy. She's someone that I miss greatly every single day.
The mother of three is one of almost 6,000 people who have been killed on Australian roads over the past 5 years. The death toll dropped during the pandemic, but there's now been a spike in fatalities. More than 1,200 people have been killed in crashes this year, the highest number since 2016.
We don't really know what's caused that increase exactly, and it might take us a lot of research and a number of years before we really know the true picture of that.
But road safety campaigners say random breath testing and increased levels of highway patrol can make a difference.
We need to get back to having more visible police on the road, not relying so much on the camera technology.
Advocates say the way Australians talk about road deaths needs to change. The Road Trauma Support Group has launched new media guidelines calling on people to stop using the term accident to describe a crash.
Crash doesn't assume innocence or guilt, whereas the term accident is a description that has an excuse bolted into it.
It takes the blame away from the offender. You know, in people's minds, it sort of it sugarcoats what actually happened.
The group hopes to spur a broader societal shift where dangerous driving is treated as a more serious crime. Helena Burke, ABC News.
The judge in the Bruce Lamman defamation case has ordered a YouTube publisher to front court in February after videos of the hearing allegedly appeared on his channel. Each day of the hearing, Justice Michael Lee warned viewers of the court's live stream that any recording could be regarded as a contempt of court. Now an order has been issued for Glenn Logan, who's alleged to be the publisher of Feminism Debunked, to explain to the court why he shouldn't be charged with contempt of court. The hearing was considering if Bruce Lamman was defamed by Network 10 and journalist Lisa Wilkinson in an interview with Brittany Higgins when she first alleged she'd been raped at Parliament House. He launched the case after his trial was abandoned with no findings against him. As the use of banknotes for everyday transactions declines, there's been greater discussion about whether Australians should pay to use cash. Companies transporting hard currency are losing money, and experts say the Reserve Bank will need to support them if cash is to remain part of the economy.
When Tony Lepato started his business 36 years ago, nearly all his customers paid with banknotes.
Cash or card?
Just cash, mate.
Cash?
Yes.
Johnny Cash. It's good to see you. In those days, it was probably 95% cash, and then you had cheques, whereas now we probably do 95% cards and 5% cash.
It's a reality playing out across the country.
Whatever the customer want to pay, so that's fine for us.
Like, we go to a lot of weddings and birthdays and we give cash as a gift. I'm just an old-fashioned girl.
I sort of fear, I guess, a society that we don't have cash in.
In 2007, 69% of Australians use cash to transact. That's fallen to 13% in 2022. The use of cheque has also plummeted and is being phased out. Card payments now make up 76% of all payments. That's putting financial pressure on companies like Armaguard that transport cash.
The Reserve Bank is going to have to step in and take some action to guarantee that these companies can survive and that cash can still remain as part of the economy.
Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock has warned about the economics of keeping cash circulating in the economy and questioned whether Australians in future may have to pay a fee to use banknotes. For now, she says, if businesses did start charging people, there'd be very big backlash.
Halal butcher and grocer Hanidi Rabah says her older migrant customers would be outraged.
People are very funny, even about a little surcharge. I can only imagine what that will do if they tell them they have to pay more to use their own cash.
For now, cash is still king for some. Nasim Khadem, ABC News.
Chemicals found in common plastics are known or suspected to be contributing to a number of common health issues affecting Australians, including cancers and infertility. Endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs, can interfere with the body's normal functioning, but there are small steps that you can take to reduce your exposure.
As humans, we're exposed to combinations of so many different types of chemicals that it's often not possible for scientists to tell if and how specific ones can affect our health. But in the case of endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs, the World Health Organization says it's wise to take precautions. More than 800 chemicals are known or suspected EDCs that may mimic, block or interfere with the body's hormones.
They can interfere with our normal regulation of our body, and so that's what could be quite dangerous about them.
EDCs are linked to a variety of illnesses, from cancers to cardiovascular disease, and a long list of other health issues like infertility and learning disabilities. Research shows EDCs present in 95% of people tested. So what can you do to reduce your exposure? One good place to start is in the kitchen. Mark Green is an associate professor in reproductive biology. He recommends foods stored in plastic, like takeaway containers, should be transferred to a china or glass plate or bowl before reheating.
If you've ever made something like lasagna, you put it in there and you can get that orange, surface around here. It's because it's actually the chemicals have actually come into the food. Stainless steel or glass water bottles help to reduce exposure from the chemicals used to make disposable plastic bottles flexible. So really it's the squeezy plastic water bottle we've got here, made from things like bisphenol A or BPA, which is the most classic one. So try not to use this. Dietary changes can also help. Experts advise reducing intake of tinned foods, as plastic is widely used to line cans, and eating less oily fish, which can absorb chemicals from the environment. Washing off fruit and vegetables, making sure that we're getting rid of any pesticides, herbicides and sprays that might have been put on there before, of course, consuming them. A national approach to managing chemical use and disposal has recently been set up to deliver more consistent regulation and make it easier for industry to choose less harmful chemical additives in plastics. Selena Ross, ABC News.
Recent accounts from victim survivors suggest drink spiking is becoming a concerning trend in Australia and abroad, though it's still being underreported. Now there's a push for hospitality staff to be better equipped to spot drink spiking and to help those who may have been targeted.
Emily's drink was spiked while she was out with friends at a Canberra nightclub. Later that evening, she was sexually assaulted by a group of men.
I was 18 when this happened, and I was really excited about being at university and meeting all these new people, and that really quickly changed to not really wanting to leave the house, certainly not wanting to drink or go out or anything like that.
In the ACT, spiking is a criminal offence that carries a penalty of up to 5 years jail or a maximum $80,000 fine. But just one person has ever been charged with the offence. Researchers and advocates say spiking is chronically underreported and incredibly difficult to prove because the drugs that are typically used are untraceable after about 72 hours.
The last piece of data and research we've had into drink spiking or spiking in general was in 2004. So that's nearly 2 decades since the last data. And we know from this that 1/3 of any spiking ends in sexual assault.
Sarah Williams created the not-for-profit organisation What Were You Wearing after having her own drink spiked. This year, the group successfully campaigned for compulsory spiking and sexual assault awareness training for anyone working in a licensed venue in New South Wales.
And we didn't want to stop there because we had people from every other state messaging us.
The ACT Attorney General Shane Rattenbury has committed to making the same amendment to the Responsible Service of Alcohol Guidelines in Canberra.
We hope to get this done as quickly as possible because we are getting anecdotal reports that this is happening in Canberra.
Multiple women have spoken with the ABC on the condition of anonymity about their experiences of being spiked at venues around Canberra, including one woman who believes she was recently spiked with a needle at a popular nightclub. All of these women say it's a problem that people who are perceived to have just drunk too much are often thrown out onto the street, where they are then vulnerable to assault.
I have to assume that all of the people working in that bar that night had completely good intentions, but in my circumstances, there wasn't any member of staff that kind of paused, stopped, tried to see if I was okay. I stumbled out and walked myself home quite clearly in a pretty bad state.
A problem that's hard to quantify, but in need of an urgent solution. Saskia Mabin, ABC News, Canberra.
And if this story has raised issues for you or anyone you know, help is available from Respect and Lifeline using the numbers on your screen. After an almost 2-day wait for confirmation, the overall winner of this year's Sydney to Hobart yacht race has been crowned. Tasmanian Yacht Alive held on to record its second win in 5 years, with the handicap victory formalised in the early hours of this morning. It caps what organisers are now calling one of the all-time editions of the race.
The moment the crew of Alive had been waiting for. It took almost 2 days to formalise the overall win for the Tasmanian Yacht, but at 3 a.m. this morning, the phone call finally came, confirming Alive's unlikely victory.
Definitely the odds were against us in the conditions in this boat, for sure.
Local knowledge proving the difference on the Derwent on Thursday as Alive rocketed home to snatch the first place standing and hold on for the win on corrected time.
It's quite ironic that the skinniest boat in the world with the least amount of riding moment just won a reaching race.
Even the loss of a crucial sail early in the piece was unable to slow the 66-footer down.
We probably should have replaced it before this race. So, but you know, they're the breaks. You know, I thought we had one more race in it. All right.
Well, not only has Alive now won the Tattersail Cup twice in the past 5 years, it becomes just the second Tasmanian boat to win the prestigious trophy on multiple occasions.
I'm really happy to see them win it. They deserved everything they got.
Between the incredible Lion Honours finish and a Tasmanian victory in the handicap, organisers believe this year's Sydney Hobart will be looked back upon as one of the all-time greats.
Yes, absolutely yes. It certainly has panned out that way.
Kings Pier filling up this afternoon as crews successfully berthed in Hobart, including Antipodes with Lindsay May, who steered the yacht home in his 50th race. About half of the fleet is still at sea in a battle with often treacherous conditions, a race against the clock to get to Hobart before the end of the year. Chris Rowbottom, ABC News.
Australia's cricket coach Andrew McDonald says Pat Cummins is making all the right moves as captain and will only get better in the role. Cummins showed his value as a leader and a bowler when he took 10 wickets in the series-winning victory over Pakistan at the MCG.
When the Australian captain needs a player to stand up and be counted, he doesn't wait for someone else.
As a player, I think the last 2-3 years have been outstanding, but as a leader, I think definitely grown, and I think you'll see him grow again.
Cummins' calm leadership was on display as Australia was challenged by Pakistan.
Across a test match, you wouldn't know what the score is based upon his body language. I think that's the art of captaincy, is to be consistent and connected with your playing group and your staff, and the ability to make the good decisions at the right time. And at the moment, the last 12 months, you'd say he's pulled a lot of the right levers.
During the second test win, Cummins overtook Richie Benaud to move into 10th spot on Australia's all-time wicket-taking list. But it's his strike rate that sets him apart. The captain takes a wicket every 46 balls, which is superior to everyone else in the top 10.
A pretty special company. The thing that's most satisfying is the longevity that it takes to hit a few of those milestones, especially after missing a few years when I was a bit younger. So, it's always a nice little reminder.
Pakistan believes that it deserved to level the series.
Pakistan team played better than the other team in general. Our batting intent was better.
Cool. They played well, but glad we got the win.
The focus now turns to the SCG, where David Warner will farewell Test cricket on his home ground.
Yeah, we want to make it 3-0 as well, and then be able to appreciate what Davey's brought to Australian cricket. Probably our greatest ever all-three format player.
A tough act to follow for whoever takes his spot at the top of the order. Duncan Huntsdale, ABC News.
Australia has made a disappointing start to the United Cup, losing both singles matches to Great Britain in Perth. It leaves the hosts needing other results to go their way to have any chance of progressing to the quarterfinals.
There were moments of brilliance from Alex de Minaur in his three-set battle with Great Britain's Cam Norrie.
Oh, brilliant from de Minaur. He gets the break.
But after fighting back from a set down and forcing a third set tie-break, he couldn't get the job done.
And there it is. Gives it up with a double fault. What an effort from Norrie.
I had a lot of chances, especially in that third set, but hey, it's one of those matches that it didn't go my way. I think Cameron played better than I did in the important moments.
After missing almost all of 2023 with injury, Isla Tomljanovic looked off the pace in her singles clash with Katie Boulter.
Impressive fast start for Team Great Britain.
She forced Boulter to earn her win with a second set fight back, but couldn't find a way to set up a deciding third set. There was something to cheer about for Australia, newly minted doubles world #1 Storm Hunter and Matt Ebden winning in straight sets to salvage something from the tie.
We really had to win this match just to kind of stay. Obviously we lost the tie, but at least stay in with round robin, you never know. So great to get the win and great to play in front of you all. Thank you so much for staying and supporting us. It means the world.
In Sydney, Casper Ruud dragged Norway back into its tie with the Netherlands after Aranska Rus beat Malene Helgo.
He's got him.
But he wasn't as polished in the mixed doubles, the Dutch claiming the tie 2-1.
All over the net. And it's all over.
China has claimed its first ever United Cup win, Zhang Zhizhen beating Czech Republic's Jiří Lehečka in 3 sets. King Wan Zheng then completed the double for China, beating reigning Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova in 3 sets to claim the tie. Tom Wildy, ABC News.
In the Big Bash League, the Melbourne Renegades have claimed a 4-wicket victory over the Adelaide Strikers after dropping their skipper, Nick Maddinson. The Strikers' Chris Lynn lit up Marvel Stadium early on, smashing his 200th six in the BBL and the stadium roof, on his way to a quick-fire half-century. But continuous wickets saw the runs dry up for the visitors, a 50 from opener Darcy Short helping Adelaide reach 177 runs. In a shaky start for the home side, import Quinton de Kock fell for a golden duck before Jake Fraser-McGurk quickly steadied the ship. His 70 of 37 balls and a classy innings from veteran Shaun Marsh saw the Renegades chase down the total for their first win of the season. Sydney FC have ended the year on a winning note, beating the top of the table Wellington Phoenix 3-1 at home. Veteran Ryan Grant netted the first for the Sky Blues in the 11th minute. A well-executed team goal saw Wellington level the scores with 10 minutes remaining. Robert Mack found space as Sydney FC again took the lead before Fabio sealed the results in the closing stages. The Sky Blues move up to 8th on the table while the Phoenix remain on top.
That's the way we want to play. We want to dictate the terms when we don't have the ball, and when we have the ball to actually try to play through teams and create those moments. So, like I said, the pressing in the first half I thought was fantastic from the players, and look, happy at the end of the day to get all 3 points. I think it's a very important win for us.
And in round 10 of the Women's A-League, Canberra United and Western United have played out a 1-1 draw at McKellar Park. Veteran Michelle Heyman thought she'd scored her 98th A-League goal for the home side in the first half, but the referee marked it down as an own goal. Western United's Adriana Taranto equalised after half-time as her side hung on to share the points. To the weather now, but first we have a couple of shots of Canberrans exploring our beautiful backyard these holidays. The windy conditions have been great for kite flying. Anton Wasson captured his daughter Eugenie at the National Arboretum, and in the Botanic Gardens, Paul Bainton of Gilmore captured blooming Sturt's desert pea after recent rain. Canberra was treated to glorious blue skies today, reaching 26 in Tuggeranong and the north. Across the region, it was a clear day across most parts, 25 on the coast in Bega, inland 27 in Griffith and cool in Thredbo, reaching 12. Around the country, it was hot in the north today, getting to 35 in Darwin, 28 in Sydney and Brisbane and 19 in Melbourne. That band of purple you can see on the map is the start of an extreme heat wave across the northern interior. It's forecast to make its way east towards the end of next week. Cloud from a few troughs is bringing showers and storms to the east of New South Wales and Queensland South, where some more severe thunderstorms are forecast over this weekend. For the last day of 2023, Brisbane's in store for some showers and 31, fine in Melbourne and 21, and some cloud about for Sydney's fireworks show and 24. In our region, cloudy on the coast and 22 for Bega tomorrow, fine and 25 in Yass, getting to 29 in Albury. A few clouds about at the airport and Hadronong tomorrow, reaching 22. Sunrise will be at 14 minutes to 6 and sunset at 26 past 8. Looking ahead into the new year, fine for the first day of 2024. That's the latest from the Canberra newsroom. I'm Jade Toomey. So great to be with you. Yara, good night.